1.
Alrighty.
And hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Pumpkin Copter Cast, the only video game show. So, yes, I'm joined today by Kevin to talk about his Let's Play channel and video games in general.
Yep, I'm Kevin, Kevin Bay more specifically. I go by the handle GoldenTalesGeek on YouTube. I might as well explain my username right off the bat since
All
some
right.
people have been asking me about that. Golden comes from the Golden Sun series of JRPGs that were, the first two were on the Game Boy Advance, though, and then the third one came out on DS, and since then the series has laid dormant for the last decade. At least it feels like it. Well, maybe it is a decade. Maybe I'm right. I don't know. But and then the Tales part comes from Namco's Tales of series, specifically Tales of Symphonia, because that's the game that got me into the series when one of my best friends showed it to me on the GameCube back in the day. Although I've been playing it replaying it recently on Steam, and it holds up so well. It's such a great game. And was there just to round out my username, and also the fact that I'm just a big geek about sci-fi and stuff like that. Yeah, so particularly Doctor Who, but other stuff as well.
All right.
And, yeah. And I've been doing Let's Plays for a few years now, and it's been fun. Although I haven't really had a chance to do like a consistent like schedule on it lately due to my job, but I at least try to put up what I can. So nowadays,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
So, when were you, Kevin, first introduced to video games?
By way of my brothers, actually, because I have two older brothers,
Mm-hmm.
and we shared an NES and a Super Nintendo when I was growing up, and I also got into it with the Game Boy as well. The Game Boy was like the big part of gaming for me growing up, because I used to borrow older brothers quite a bit, and I'd play like Mario Land and stuff like that. In fact, I'd go so far as to say I probably played Super Mario Land more than I played the original Super Mario Brothers. So I feel weird saying it like that, but I genuinely did. I mean, I love the original Super Mario Brothers. Don't get me wrong, especially the Game Boy Color version, Super Mario Brothers Deluxe. But Super Mario Land, that just was what really impressed upon me, the Mario series. So that's why I wasn't fully surprised when they decided to adapt the Super Mario Brothers into a movie that Princess Daisy was the princess and not Princess Toadstool, or Peach as she's known nowadays. So.
Okay. And what would you say was your favorite game and or games growing up?
I had several. Uh, I mean, obviously the Mario stuff, Zelda, particularly A Link to the Past. That's what really got me into Zelda, was A Link to the Past. Although I'm probably going to be a heretic and say that I kind of prefer the GBA version of Link to the Past more than I do the SNES version. Probably
Really?
because, yeah, I mean, it's just the translation of it seems a little better, and also it kind of ties in more explicitly with Ocarina of Time a little bit in terms. It's a more of a my love of in-game lore than
Mm-hmm.
anything else. Uh, you know, and also just a few quality of life changes they made to the GBA port that make it a more rounded experience for me. So. And although my favorite game ever, I mean, regardless of system, is Chrono Trigger. That got me, and I thank that game because it got me into JRPGs. Because I mean, I used to watch my middle brother Owen. I used to watch him play the original Dragon Quest games back in the day, back when it was called Dragon Warrior. That's showing my age right there.
Oh,
and
Dragon Quest.
Yeah, Dragon Quest. Used to watch him play that, and even back when he got a PlayStation 1, I watched him play Dragon Quest 7 quite a bit, the infamously lengthy one, where it takes a
Oh, I
while,
know. I
several
beat
hours
it
before.
2 days ago.
Which version? The PS1 version or
The
the
3DS version.
3DS one? Yeah, I'm still working my way through the 3DS one, admittedly, but it's good. I love it. It's great. Although Dragon Quest 8 is probably my favorite in the series, honestly.
The pirate one.
No,
He,
no, I meant the
oh,
one where,
the
I meant the
hero
one
looks
that
like a pirate.
a little bit with the bandana, yeah. Although he's actually more a knight, but whatever. But yeah,
I guess that's
I kind of,
cool.
of course, I think 8 is my favorite because A, it's the one that got me into the series, and B, just the voice acting lends itself a kind of almost Monty Python-esque kind of feel to the atmosphere because all the actors are British.
Oh.
Yeah. Although funny enough, replaying it on my 3DS version, I was floored when I heard one of the voices of the main characters. There's this guy named Angelo who joins your party, and I recognized his voice because he not only voices a character in Xenoblade Chronicles, but he also voices a character in a lot of Doctor Who audio dramas I've listened to.
Really?
Yeah, a guy by the name of Blake Ritson. Yeah, and he also plays the lead role in a series of audio dramas that the Big Finish, the people who make the audio dramas, uh, have got the rights to doing, based off of a cult series called Adam Adamant Lives, and he plays Adam Adamant. And I wasn't sure if I wanted to check him out because I'd never heard of the series because I don't live in England. And but what really made me interested in trying them out was one of my favorite writers that they have is a guy named a fellow by the name of Guy Adams, who's written a lot of stuff that I really liked for them. And so I figured, you know what, I'll give it a shot because of him, because he's really smart and really has this kind of dark sense of humor that appeals to me. Maybe he'll give it a little bit of an edge. So I bought the first volume on a whim, and I was like, wow, this is really good. So, but anyway, that's not video games. That's something else. We can talk more about that another time. But I just wanted to, but I just, that correlation between Dragon Quest and audio dramas that I love was just really cool to me. Anyway, sorry.
Oh, that's fine. Um. So yeah, like, I mean, aside from Chrono Trigger, which you say is like your forever favorite, like what games would you also like? What were your favorite games like when you were growing up?
Um, those Mario Brothers stuff. I was really big into playing Tetris with my brothers a lot, especially, and Dr. Mario. I'm a big puzzle fan. I love puzzle games. Uh, SimCity was really fun. I love SimCity, especially the SNES version, where if you decide to summon a monster to destroy your town, it's Bowser instead. I thought that was really cool, as opposed to some Godzilla knockoff if you were playing it on your PC. And even I loved the SNES version of SimCity. It was so good. Uh, hmm. I also did a bit of PC gaming when I was growing up, and I
Mm-hmm.
loved a lot of the old PC point-and-click adventure games from LucasArts, like The Secret of Monkey Island, Loom, Day of the Tentacle, which was the sequel to Maniac Mansion, um, Full Throttle, and a few others like that. I loved point-and-click adventure games. Sam and Max was a big Sam and Max fan. Funny enough, I was actually gushing about Sam and Max to one of my best friends when we were in high school, and I happened to be over at his house at the time. And I was talking about like how much I really loved the work that Steve Purcell did with Sam and Max, and his dad happened to hear me talking about this, and he's like, "Oh, Steve Pissarro is actually related to us distantly," and I'm like, "Wait, what?"
Huh?
My mind just went, and I'm like, "What? You're related to the guy who created Sam and Max, who's like a big part of my childhood? What?" It just like my mind just went. It was awesome. And even my friend was surprised, like, "I didn't know this," you know. So it kind of blew his mind too. So, but yeah, and although, but yeah, I haven't really done a lot of point and click adventure games on my channel though. I really want to.
Mm-hmm.
I've done like 2 of them. I did the original Monkey Island, although I did the special edition version, and I also did Loom. And I have plans to do Monkey Island 2 some point. I'm still kind of working out how I want to like work my way through the game, I guess, for a let's play. I mean, with Monkey Island 1, it was easy because I pretty much knew the game so darn well because I played it so much. and just knew even when it came to the insult sword fighting, I knew how to like all the comebacks and everything like that, and insults and everything so well that I was able to just really be able to chart my way through that game and make it a cohesive project. But Monkey Island 2 is a little more of a challenge, and I'm still kind of figuring that out. And I've been taking little notes here and there just to see what I could do on that. And I don't often take notes when it comes to Let's Playing. I know that sounds weird because a lot of other more established Let's Players like Chugga Conroy rely on notes, especially when they do bigger games like his current project is Xenoblade Chronicles 2 on the Switch.
Oh goodness.
Oh yeah, and he's even going to be covering the prequel thing, Torna the Golden Country too, at some point, from what I heard, as well as part of the overall project.
Oh dear.
It's still ways away. Although I've been really enjoying watching it because it's making me interested in playing more of it, because I have it for my Switch. I just haven't really delved into it too much, unfortunately, because free time is scarce. But yeah, I mean, Chugga is one of my big inspirations for doing Let's Plays, really. And although my first experience with seeing any kind of Let's Play was this guy named H.C. Bailey, who does predominantly JRPG Let's Plays. He's currently doing a game that only was released in Japan, but was fan translated into English, and it's called Bahamut Lagoon. It's originally for Super Nintendo, or Super Famicom, more accurately. And I played a little bit of it, like once, like years ago, like the fan translated ROM, and it was okay, but I didn't really get super into it, unlike most other like Squaresoft, as it was known at that time, RPGs. But watching him play through it and saying like, here's a good strategy on how you can fight this boss, or knowing about the item drops and what you can get based off of like killing enemies with a certain elemental spell and getting like some good equipment for your characters and knowing how to equip them, that made it really, I'm like, wow, this game is actually pretty deep for the time, and I never knew this. I mean, he doesn't go into like, he mostly just focuses on like going through the game and the gameplay and stuff, though. Well, with Chugga Conroy, he not only goes with the gameplay and the game itself, but he'll also talk a bit about the development history a little bit too, which I find also incredibly fascinating. Like, he talked about some of the beta stuff, like that was, or some of the concept art for some of the characters and stuff in Xenoblade 2. And he also did Xenoblade Chronicles 1 as well, which prompted me to actually decide to play the game, that game particularly. So, but yeah, I mean, and he also made me really appreciate Super Mario Sunshine more, because at the time I liked the game when it came out. It was a fun little Mario platformer, but I saw other people just kind of ragging on it because of like FLUDD and other stuff and the voice acting and stuff like that. And I'm just like, am I really wrong for liking this game? And then seeing him with Chugga, even though he was apparently dealing with a lot of crap at the time when he made the game, made that Let's Play. At least that's what he admitted later on. That, I just was like, okay, good. Someone appreciates this game as much as I do, and the fact that he went to such exhaustive detail with it made me just love that, feel a little more vindicated, I guess.
My problem with the game is that I found out later is that you literally cannot beat the game until you have like beaten like the 7th level on each world.
Yeah, that can be a bit tedious.
That was a deal breaker for me personally.
And that's fine. I mean, I'm still working through playing it again on my Switch with the Mario AllStars pack, but I'm just taking it slow and just having fun with it. That's probably why I won't do any Mario 3D games on my channel for Let's Play, because I just like to take my time and enjoy the game and stuff like that. Whereas if it was something like New Super Mario Brothers or something like that, then no, I can just go through that no problem. I mean, I did the GBA version of Super Mario Brothers 2, Super Mario Advance, for my channel a while back. Of course, I feel a little bit smug with that project now, because I had a friend of mine co-commentate with me during one of those videos, and he knows I'm a big Doctor Who fan.
Yep.
And he asked me, just a way of kind of shooting the breeze a bit, because my way of co-commentary is a mixture of just my general gameplay tips and stuff. But when I have someone else there to bounce off of, we also just talk like we're talking right now.
Mm-hmm.
And there, he asked me, how would I feel, since I'm a big Doctor Who fan, if they had casted an American as the Doctor, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this was during the time when Peter Capaldi was still in his early days in the TARDIS. And I said, well, I said, you know, I'm not sure that would go over well with fans, really, because Doctor Who is such a British institution that to cast an American would probably piss a lot of people off. And then I added something along the lines of like I think they're far more likely to cast a woman in the role before they cast an American.
Oh, you were
And
psychic,
sure
I
enough,
guess.
yeah, I know. And sure enough, now we've got Jodie Whittaker in the TARDIS and
And
all her,
people are
and
just so
all her glory,
reasonable about that.
right? I love Jodie. I think she's great personally, but we can do another show about Doctor Who, like another time maybe. I would
Oh,
love to do that.
now you put the
I mean,
idea in my head.
just putting it out there. I mean, I'd love to do that, especially to get more people to listen to Big Finish because Big Finish just does really great work. But that's it for another podcast. But we're doing video games. Uh, yeah, I
So,
mean, did you have another question? Sorry.
yes.
Okay.
So, like, aside from, like you said, your forever favorite Chrono Trigger, what would you say is your favorite game and or games now?
I've been on a real indie kick lately.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, love indie. I've been really loving indie games because it feels like they're the ones really kind of trying to replicate the sheer variety of different games that we got back in the NES and SNES days, and a little bit to some extent during the N64 era, but just without really without all the baggage of like what TV Tropes calls Capcom sequel stagnation, basically referring to the whole thing with Mega Man. I mean, I love Mega Man, but still, I mean, it's great that we have these big titans of things like Mario, Mega Man, Sonic, and all that stuff, but also the little tiny characters too. Like I haven't finished the game yet because I'm still slowly eking my way through a pacifist run, but I've been really loving Undertale on my Switch.
Mm-hmm.
Such a great game.
Oh, it
Uh,
is.
um, Shovel Knight. I love Shovel Knight. It's so ambitious, but it's so good. I actually did a let's play of the Shovel Knight campaign for the game, and I have plans to do the other three characters down the road. But come what may. I love Shovel Knight. It's probably one of my favorite indie games. It's just so good. I've done a few videos of the game, and I plan on doing more. It's this indie roguelike, and it's kind of silly if you couldn't tell by the title. It's called Quest of Dungeons. It's kind of silly. It doesn't take itself too seriously. It's kind of basic in terms of gameplay, and also there's some cases where you can just force your way through a run and you'll be fine. Although there are cases where even on the easiest difficulty setting, you can get sideswiped and killed like instantly if you're not careful. But it's so fun and very addicting and a big time sink if you're not careful. It's such a but it's on all sorts of platforms. It's on Steam. It's on the Switch. I first got into it because I showed it. It was showed up on recommended games on my 3DS. Although if you want the latest quote unquote latest version of the game, it'd be best to either get the Steam version or the Switch version because those are like the ones that are most up to date, I guess. Like in terms of like the developers. Because and then I also played it a bit on my Wii U to some extent, but yeah, but it's a fun little roguelike, and I really enjoy it. Like I said, a real addictive time sink if you're not careful. I'm trying to think of other little indie games I've liked. Oh, there's this physics-based puzzle game. Like, there's like over like a dozen games in the series, and they really overdo it on the achievements on some of the games in the series because it's on
Mm-hmm.
Steam. But it's called ZUP, ZUP exclamation point. Those are so fun, but you sometimes you have to think several steps ahead of what you're doing in order to figure out what you're supposed to do. Because what you're supposed to do is like there's these like little blue colored balls you have to like you click on like these red boxes that explode, and if they're near like the blue ball, they'll give it a little extra push, and there's different other blocks that behave in different ways depending on how the objects interact with them. And you have to get the blue ball to a little green, like almost like a green, like almost like a fairway type place. I mean, the graphics are kind of basic. It's almost like 8-bit, but not really. To thing, and have it stay there for a few seconds, and then this little door in the corner of the screen will go and open up, and that's when you know you've beaten the level. And like that's another one of those addictive time sink things, and they're so fun. And like I said, there's over a dozen of them on Steam, and it's like 99. They're 99 cents each, pretty much. They're wicked cheap. You could buy them all pretty much in a bundle, and they're so fun. And then this other game, it's a more of I call it my relaxation game, and it's a game on Steam called Coloring Pixels. The base game itself is free, but there's like a ton, and I mean a ton of DLC packs that are of puzzles. It's like a pixel count by numbers type game, and there's like dozens of like DLC packs that are like 99 cents each, and they're so good. And there's like a dinosaur one which I just finished like the last puzzle in like earlier today, I think, or was and then there's like a second advent pack, like basically for the Christmas season, coming out in the next few weeks, and it's like almost like an advent calendar where you can only do one puzzle a day in that sense, which I think is kind of cool. And it unlocks over the course of December. There's like one that's just like these like really ornate patterns, almost like cross stitching kind of thing, in terms of the design of them, even though it's all pixel based. There's like an RPG form thing, like where it's not like there's any specific RPG, but it's like done in the style of like old RPGs from like Super Nintendo stuff, where it's like one of them almost like a pixelated dwarf, which is kind of cool. One of the puzzles, and like I said, I consider it my relaxation game because like there's different music tracks to play throughout that are meant to be relaxing, and they're just all like these little piano pieces that are like, and it's supposed to help you just chill out and just relax. And every now and then when I get home from work, especially if I'm working late, I'll just load up the game and I'll just do one or two puzzles depending on how long it takes me, because some of those puzzles can be really extravagant. And depending on especially if there's a lot of colors involved, and I just bliss out, and it helps me decompress after a long day, and it's worth it. So, but yeah, Coloring Pixels, really great game. So
okay. And
I can think of many more, but they're not really coming to me at the moment.
Okay, that's fun. Yeah. So what made you want to create your Let's Play channel in the first place?
Well, I mean, I already had a channel anyway, but it was mostly for commenting on other people's stuff that I liked. And I always wanted to do it. I didn't really have the resources at the time. And also, I had a really kind of crappy computer at the time when I was first getting an interest in doing these videos. And then I since upgraded to the current computer I have, which is a little more high-end, although probably not quite as high-end as the computers we have now. I probably should upgrade sometime, but maybe. And I had installed some screen recording software on my computer, and I was going to test it out and everything sometime, just to see if that would help me with creating this stuff. And I did some test stuff, but it really wasn't coming together how I wanted, and I was feeling disheartened by it. And then, like, this was in August of like 2013. Yeah, August of 2013. Like, it was like it was like the weekend before my birthday. I'm gonna get a little bit. I'm probably gonna feel like I'm gonna bring down the room here. Just a fair warning, guys. But the weekend before my birthday, it was like late August, and that time, one of my very best friends, who I'd known since we were in high school, she had suddenly been found dead, like not too far from where we attended high school, and that really hit me really hard, and I just was really struggling to deal with that, and I needed some way to work through my grief in a constructive way because I was in such a state of shock and grief. I almost wanted to just drink. Really, I was. I'm past. I'm. I was. I'm. I wanted to almost drown in my sorrows a bit, and I realized no, that's not healthy for me. I don't need to do that. I need to find a and I just I was and I was I had been replaying Wario Land 2 on
Mm-hmm.
my 3DS lately because it was on Virtual Console, and I just at the time because I hadn't played it in a very long time, and it's one of my favorite Game Boy games. And I thought, okay, you know what? I got, and I'm just, you know what? So I got the ROM off of some site. I won't say what the site has since been defunct, so I can't really say what site it was anyway, and I probably wouldn't be allowed to say it anyway since this podcast, But and I booted it up on this Game Boy Advance emulator I use for my computer sometimes when I want to play games that I don't really own physically, and I decided to try to combine the emulator using the emulator with the screen recording software I was using, which I still use to this day. Actually, it's a program called Camtasia, which which the latest version is great. I'm using now is great because I'm actually able to record things at 60 frames per second if you're really a stickler for that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I somehow managed to get the border of the recording to just record the part of my emulator where you could see the gameplay, and I just cranked out several videos of me like playing Wario Land 2 just at a clip, and I was about halfway through the game by the time I put anything up really. Anything up on my channel, and it just kind of started there really, basically when I was in a state of grief for one of my best friends. And the worst part of it is at that time I was actually thinking of messaging her to see if we could get back in touch because I hadn't talked to her since we graduated, and I was wanting to touch base and see how she'd been because we were friends on Facebook, but it seemed like she was really struggling, and I figured I'd be the good friend to see how she's doing, but sadly that never came to be. But you know, I just hope wherever she is now, she's at peace. But I mean, as far as I know, she didn't kill herself, so that's one weight off my shoulders. But still, but I still love making my videos when I can, and because I have my job, I don't really have as much free time to record as much as I used to.
Mm-hmm.
But I do, excuse me, but I do at least try to put out like a first impressions video every Saturday. I pick out like a random game, mostly from my Steam Pack catalog, and try it out. Although in October I try to pick more darker, creepier games just to kind of suit the mood of October and Halloween and all that. So, I've been kind of, I was actually kind of inspired by to do that by movie Bob's Schlocktober part of the big picture,
Oh.
because he did like some kind of weird schlocky stuff for October, and I was like, oh, I should probably delve into doing that myself. And I've been a fan of movie Bob's for years, so it just I don't know. So Bob, if you're listening, you're an inspiration there, buddy. But yeah, I haven't really. I actually only got to talk to him once, and that was in a patron hangout on Discord that his brother Chris was holding for the patrons of his podcasts, and basically in his Discord server. And Bob briefly joined us for a bit, and I got to pick his brain on a few things, and that was kind of nice. So,
Okay.
yeah.
And what did you like? What is like when you have the time to dedicate? When you have the time necessary to dedicate to it, what's like the next big like project or something you want to tackle on your channel?
Well, I mean, I still want to do a few more videos of Quest of Dungeons before so I can finish that off. I've
Mm-hmm.
got several other games I want to do future, like Monkey Island 2. I've also got. I also had a let's play going on for a while, which has since become a record when I feel like project, which of Pokemon Yellow. I had that going on for a while, and that was my first like experimentation with a function that I discovered that the editing soft side of Camtasia has, which is like if you put an image in the first track of the editing thing and you put what you recorded, you can overlay what you recorded on top of that, so it's like you have a background image behind your gameplay footage. And I was experimenting a bit with that with Pokemon Yellow, where I had an image that was kind of based off of the border you see when you play Pokemon Yellow on your Super Game Boy, that old accessory for the SNES for those who are close to my age. And on the side, I'd have like different Pokeballs to represent all the different Pokemon that were going to eventually become my teammates. And I would change the image in accordance with what Pokemon have joined my team.
Mm-hmm.
And I discovered that one of the transitions on the editing software had this nice kind of glowy effect. And I figured that would be a nice, cool effect if one of my Pokemon on my team decided to evolve. So, I say decided, but still. So like right at the moment in the video when the change is complete, the picture would just go like glowy, almost like the Doctor regenerating, and just like, and then say like one of the pictures is like a Bulbasaur, the picture would just glow and change, and it would change to another picture I'd made up, and it would be Ivysaur instead. And it was a little experiment I was doing. And I managed, and at the time I was also in a rather tempestuous relationship with somebody. I won't mention their name, but it was really rough, and I managed to get at least like 30 episodes in while I was in the middle of this relationship and recording it, and before I had to put it on hiatus to try to fix things with the relationship. Ultimately it didn't happen, but still. And I had already had episode 31 in the can, and it was sitting there for the better part of a year before I decided to upload it, unfortunately. And I decided before uploading that I was going to put up an update basically saying like basically that I've decided this is going to be a record when I feel like project, so don't hold out for a consistent schedule of Pokemon Yellow. It's just going to be like if I get another episode out there, great. I mean, I didn't want to give it up on the project completely because I had made such really significant progress in 30 episodes, really, because I was coming up on going to Fuchsia City, actually, which was about halfway through the game, because one of the videos was basically the gym battles of the Celadon City gym, so the battles in the Celadon City gym. So the fact that I managed to get that far in just 30 videos and not really editing out much of the trainer battles is pretty impressive to me in my mind.
Okay.
So, but in terms of other games I have lined up, in terms of nothing's really definitive as to when it'll happen, but I know I want to do it. As I said, the other Shovel Knight campaigns like Plague Knight and King Knight and Spectre Knight, those three I want to do someday. I've been trying to play them on my Switch so I can at least get a feel for how they play, because I've mostly played the Shovel Knight campaign more than anything else, really, because it was just so darn fun. I did a Let's Play of the Game Boy Advance port of Donkey Kong Country, the original, and I want to keep up with that. I want to do like the other two GBA versions of the other two games in the original DKC trilogy sometime. And I would love to do that, because especially the second one, because they added an exclusive boss fight to the GBA port of Donkey Kong Country 2.
Mm-hmm.
A little Kremling lizard thing called Kerosene or something like that, who was apparently really tough, but I never really made it that far in the GBA port, so I haven't really fought him, so I have to practice. Also Monkey Island 2, obviously, I mentioned that one. I'd love to do also the third Monkey Island game, Curse of Monkey Island. That'd be really cool, as well as maybe a few other games. There's some other little indie games I've been playing that I'd love to do videos of, like in the future. There's other little smatterings of indie games I want to do blind Let's Plays of, like play totally blind with never playing it before.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done a couple of blind projects already. One was of this indie auto-run platformer called Jack and Jill DX, which was pretty fun. And the other was DuckTales Remastered, which was kind of fun, which was amazing. I really enjoyed playing that. I mean, Way Forward really just did a great job with that. This might be a bit of a pipe dream, but I'd love to try to let's play one of the later day Castlevania games, like the post Symphony of the Night Castlevania games. I'd love to play one of those for a let's play sometime.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure which one, but I'd love to. I just would love to tackle one of those because I love a lot of Castlevania. There's just so many games I love. Oh, and Chrono Trigger obviously is definitely on the pipeline. I didn't start with Chrono Trigger because as a Let's Play, even though it's my favorite game ever, because I saw what happened to Chugga Conroy when he decided to Let's Play his favorite game ever as his first project, and that was Earthbound, which is also a really great game.
Mm-hmm.
And it came out to be really overly long and kind of meandering in places, and I genuinely do not want to do that for Chrono Trigger. As much as I love the game, I don't want it, and I feel like I wouldn't do that anyway. But at the same time, I just don't want to take any chances on that. As much as I love Chrono Trigger, I just don't want to end up having it go overly long. So, and I'm still also figuring out how I'm going to format it into episodes, really. I mean, Chugga, for his Let's Play of Chrono Trigger, he acquitted himself pretty well with it, but I kind of want to do something that's more me than him, even though I do love his style. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now we can move on to the final question of the interview, which all my other guests always understand perfectly. So, Kevin, in your opinion, is video games?
Is video games, huh? Yeah, I think so.
All right, then. And with that, we come to the conclusion of this particular episode of the Pumpkin Copter Cast. I'd like to thank Kevin...
Thank you.
Of GoldenTalesGeek for joining us. And before I plug my stuff, Kevin, what do you want to plug?
Well, like I said, youtube.com/GoldenTalesGeek. That's my Let's Play channel. I'm also on a collab channel with a couple friends, although the channel's on hiatus at the moment. It's called Games of Future Past, where we basically play multiplayer retro games. Trying to think what else I've done. I've done a few episodes of the School of Movies podcast. I did one on Chrono Trigger, actually, and then I did another one on Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, and then just recently this one came out. The other one on Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which was a lot of fun. And I wasn't the only guest on that one, thank God. I was pretty much the only guest on the Raiders show, which I was kind of almost feeling like I was like thrown into the lion's den a little bit with that one, but it was fun. But Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was a blast. Chris Chipman was on there with me, as well as one other person, and also Alex and Sharon. So that one was just a real blast, and I really loved doing that. And I can't think of anything else I've got going on other than that. So I guess that's it.
Okay, then.
Yep.
And so, yes, if you enjoyed this video and you'd like to hear more of it, be sure to, like and subscribe, hit the little bell icon, which lets you know when a new video comes out, because everyone loves extra steps.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, if for some reason you enjoy this so much that you want to give me some money... you can go to patreon.com/thepumpkincoptercast, where for as little as $1 a month you can submit questions for me to use in future interviews.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
And yes, this has been the Pumpkin Copter Cast, and as I am compelled to say at the end of every show, have a gourd day, everyone.
That's clever. I like that.